Government Operations and Youth Development now convenes this hearing. In accordance with the Open Government Law, public notices for today's proceedings were sent to the media on September 24th, 2015, and again on September 28th, 2015. For the record, today is Thursday, October 1st, 2015, and the time is now 2:01 in the afternoon. The committee will hear and accept testimony, both oral and written, on the following item. The nomination of Mr. Frank L.G. Lujan, Jr. to the position of Chief Technology Officer of the Office of Technology for a length of term to serve at the pleasure of the Maga'låhen, Guåhan. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge my colleagues who are present with me this morning, or this afternoon. We have to my immediate right, Vice Chairman Senator Mary Torres. To her immediate right, Vice Speaker B.J. Cruz. To my immediate left, Senator Tommy Morrison. And to his immediate left, Senator Tina Rose Muñoz. Thank you, colleagues, for joining us this afternoon. Our only agenda item is the nomination of Mr. Lujan to the Chief Technology Officer position of the Office of Technology. If there are any interested individuals who would like to testify on his behalf, we are signing them in here on the table to our left. Maine, do we have sign-ins? If anybody else would like to sign in, please at any time feel free. What we'll do is we'll entertain the individuals who've signed in individually, and then we'll have the nominee himself present his opening statement. So before we call up Mr. Lujan, I'd like to first invite Mr. Dan Taidinko, Mr. Ken Platt, and Mr. Joe Kinata, all who've signed up to testify. Deacon Tenorio, your name is on the sheet. Are you also going to testify, Deacon? Okay, please, Deacon, join us. We'll just go ahead and address the individuals who are testifying in the order that they signed up. So first we have Mr. Taidinko. Dan, just go ahead and state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Dan Taidinko. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair Torres, Senators Cruz, Morrison, Muñoz. My name is Dan Taidinko. I'm here in testifying today in support of, on behalf of the nomination of Frank Lujan to be the next director, or the first director, actually, for this Office of Technology. I didn't realize how long I've known Frank until recently when somebody emailed me a photo of him alongside of my sister, Frances Gatewood, and Anita Areola, Janet Gerber. There's a number of people, but it was a picture dated when they were all back in high school in 1975. So it's like, wow, it's like 40 years ago. But nonetheless, I'm here to testify in support of his nomination for this very important office. I think even the legislature acknowledges the criticality and the importance of this office by making recent modifications to the law for the responsibilities of the office and also the individual who's going to be tasked with overseeing the office on behalf of the government of Guam. From what I know of Frank, he has the skill set not only with government of Guam experience, but also with his personal business experience, as well as experience in the private sector in information technology, telecommunications. And I think that he has sufficient and ample knowledge to go ahead and proceed forth in integrating whatever he has right now with the government of Guam. I think the government of Guam has ample resources with the hardware and the tools for the information technology tasks and responsibilities that lie before it. But he also probably has the discipline to figure out how to manage and harness the personnel resources and integrate them. They're all over the place right now within the government of Guam. But I think that he'll be able to command leadership, and they'll be able to come to understand and learn of his leadership because of his experience. So I strongly urge the legislature to respectfully consider confirming him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dan. Next we have Mr. Ken Platt.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Platt. I am the person that is responsible for the in excess of 2,300 government and Guam employees being able to access their computers and the network, and all of the computers to function, as well as all the servers. So I'm highly integrated into the information technology. I have met Mr. Lujan. I have had communications with him, and I firmly believe that he is what the doctor has ordered, what's needed. Highly critical that he is put in this position. He's presented himself as being very organized, the ability to prioritize, and again, I have a really good idea of what's going on with our government's network, and he is the solution. So I highly recommend that he is given the position.
Thank you very much, Mr. Black. Mr. Joe Kinati.
Yes, Chairman, Vice Chair, Vice Speaker, Senators. For the record, my name is Joe Kinata, and I'm here in my personal capacity to testify in favor and support of Frank Lujan Jr. For the Chief for the Office of Technology. I know Frank for as long as he's been married to my sister since 2008. So not as long as Mr. Taidenko, but long enough to know his capabilities, to know that he has the knowledge and he's capable of the position itself. Just in conversations, quite intellectual conversations, he has a great vision, a vision that is going to provide the necessary tools. Technology is a tool for efficient government operations, and I believe that he has that vision, he has the capabilities, and I surely hope that you all support him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kanata. Deacon Tenorio.
Everybody is so short that I have to read mine, so forgive me. And I was delayed for many reasons, and I'm an old man, and I'm not capable of being like yesterday when I can just, when somebody tell me, Deacon, I'm already running there and running back. I cannot do that anymore. So forgive me again for the interruption. I did not mention much about his professional accomplishment, but I know him through the ministry that I have. So bear with me, okay, everybody. Dr. Residuos Masi, Senator Michael, and Vice Speaker Cruz, Senator Torres, and Senator Morris, and Senator Barnes, Residuos Masi, for allowing me to speak to you. My name is Deacon Frank Tenorio. I'm the chaplain and general manager for Kamaling Caridad, Catholic Educational Radio, Catholic Pro-Life Committee, and OCA Ministry. This is testimony submitted in behalf of Frank L.D. Lujan, nominee as Chief Technology Officer. Mr. Chairman, if your grandpa, Senator Franklin Kituga, is alive today, he would have told you that he was instrumental in sending Frank to study computer. Mr. Chairman, if your grandpa, Senator Franklin Kituga, is alive today, he will have told you that he was instrumental in sending Frank to study computer science in Clamart, Oregon. Your grandpa saw the potential of this young man, and now, in front of you, of his grandson, awaiting confirmation for a job that yielded from his action. There's a saying that says, to every successful man, there's a woman behind him. I hope I got it right. Otherwise, I'm in trouble at home. Oh, Lord, help us all. I hope I got it right and I can go back again to where I missed. Forgive me, everybody. Oh, okay. I have known Frank ever since he married Bertha. Bertha is a very dedicated person in the feeding of our homeless brothers and sisters who come in to eat at Cuisine Kamaling Caridad, and makes her husband involved with the ministry. Frank's role is to talk to those who may be needing a kind word or a smile to cheer them up. His presence is like an angel who radiates love and compassion. Frank is also involved in other ministries such as the Hosea ministry, who instruct those who may need to know, love, and obey God's commandments and His sacraments. He is also involved in the Catholic Educational Radio, KOLG 90.9 FM, a ministry that proclaims the Word of God. Mr. Chairman and Senators of this committee, Frank is a faithful lover of Christ, and that is qualification that is number one in God's book, my book, and prayerfully also in everybody's books. Thank you for the opportunity to testify for the confirmation of Frank L.D. Lujan as Chief Technology Officer. Talkulo na si Diyos Masi.
Thank you, Deacon Sonora. Thank you. Always a blessing. And thank you for sharing that little bit of history about my grandpa. I did not know. That's very, it's always nice to hear. Always nice to hear. Frank? Please. Now you're coming before the committee for your confirmation hearing on your nomination to serve as the Chief Technology Officer of the Office of Technology. So whenever you're ready, Frank, you can go ahead and make, I guess, some opening remarks as to why you would like to seek the position.
Okay. First of all, for the record, my name is actually Francisco Leon Guerrero Lujan Jr. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Senator Torres, Senator Cruz, Senator Morrison, Senator Barnes, for this opportunity to actually ask or answer any questions you might have regarding my capabilities. Most of the people behind me are supporting me, but ultimately, when we talk about the subject of technology, it's about a vision of leveraging technology in conjunction with the hope it offers for other people, especially the people of Guam. Deacon Tenorio talked about the homeless. My wife and I do spend quite a bit of time with the homeless, and some of the interesting observations is most of the homeless do leverage technology. I see many of them with cell phones and laptops, so they are very, very much in touch. What I hope to do with this particular position is to provide the leadership to move the technology that is within the government of Guam forward. And I hope in this particular session I can answer any questions you might have regarding my capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Just for the benefit of my colleagues who may be reviewing Mr. Lujan's packet, if you turn to page 6, the Statement of Financial Interests, I just wanted to share with you that when Frank met with me several weeks ago, I informed him that these financial interests that he had, particularly in his company, Guam Technology Associates, may present a conflict of interest challenge. And I asked him if he'd be so willing as to divest that interest in pursuit of the position. And just for the record, and for my colleagues' understanding so they can feel comfortable about this item, Mr. Lujan has actually informed me that he has divested these interests. So I just wanted to thank you for that, sir. I know that that's a big step to take, and it's a testament to your commitment to the position and your dedication to the people of Guam and your interest in serving them without any potential ideas that there may be a conflict. So I would very much like to state for the record that is no longer an item of concern in the packet, just for my colleagues, and in case anybody had any questions about that. And Frank, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much for that consideration. I also wanted to state for the record some of Mr. Lujan's accomplishments, because he's being very modest in his hearing. When you came to when your packet came to committee and when you met with me, I was incredibly impressed with your professional history in the industry. And I agree with everyone who's testified before you that your expertise is exactly what is needed for that particular office. One of the challenges that we've had since the inception of the Office of Technology is making sure that somebody was in place in a permanent capacity with a background even half as extensive as yours, who could help to drive a technology agenda in the government that is very disjointed with regards to how it approaches technology. And when I reviewed your packet and all the different components that are in here, I was incredibly excited about your willingness to step up for the position.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, I'm not saying anything that's not already fact. And so I'd just like to, for the record and for the benefit of the listening audience at home, kind of go through here the candidates packet that we have in front of us. He's a graduate of John F. Kennedy High School. He attended the Oregon Institute of Technology from 1975 to 1979, the University of Southern California from 1983 to 1986 with an MS in Systems Management. His entire employment history is actually in the industry of technology. He was with IBM from 89 to 2003 as a territory channels manager, solutions manager, client executive, and systems engineer. He worked in Nordic Systems, which is based out of Oregon, as an IT consultant from 2003 to 2005. He was with GTA Telecom as a managing director for information technology from 2005 to 2007. An adjunct professor, I'm assuming, in technology.
Yes.
From 2009 to 2012. And the principal IT consultant and CEO for the company that he just divested to take this position, Guam Technology Associates, August 2007 to present. So not only do you have a background in technology, but you have a background in technology as it relates to the private sector, as it relates to the public sector as an educator, and as it relates to being an entrepreneur. So you not only know what this government needs internally, you know how it should be functioning externally. So when I saw this packet, Mr. Guåhan, I was just very excited, and I'm very grateful that you're willing to take up the position. And with that, I don't have anything else to add except I look forward to moving your confirmation forward as quickly as possible. And if any of my colleagues here have any questions or items they would like to highlight with respect to your nomination, I'll go ahead and yield to any of them at this time. Vice Chair? Question? Sure.
Good day, Mr. Guåhan. Your resume speaks volumes. But I was thinking, though, when we look at the government and technology, automatically we have an impression that it's going to require a great deal of investment into infrastructure and resources to bring us technologically up to speed. But do you also foresee in looking, because I know that you've also assisted in some government agencies with projects, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and I've heard some very good things, very positive things about you and your contributions. But in looking at how we can actually move this government forward, it would require also the approach of economies of scale. We would have to reconsider how we procure things on Guam, how we actually integrate those sorts of things so that we can maximize the potential to invest in resources. Is that an area that you believe you can also assist with us in looking at how procurement can be modified or addressed so that we can capitalize and be more far-reaching?
I'm well, in terms of your question, Senator, regarding procurement, I know that there are certainly many different obstacles in the acquisition side. I've had some experience on the government side in terms of experiencing the idiosyncrasies, if you will, of acquisitions and procurement. But notwithstanding, in my preliminary assessments, just being on board acting for the last month, there actually is quite a bit of technology that's in place that doesn't really require a major investment. But in addition to that, where I see most of the gaps really is in the human resource part of it. You have really essentially a base of about less than 25 people that are technically savvy and have the certifications or the skill set to support and maintain the government, and that certainly needs to be grown. The most of the roles that are in place are very tactical and not strategic, so they're there just to basically put out a lot of fires. But in terms of planning and moving forward, there needs to be a lot of participation with the key stakeholders. There needs to be a major shift where there's governance that's in place to actually sustain the current, not only the current skill set that's in place, but to actually grow the current skill set. Those are some of the major gaps. But in terms of the acquisitions and the procurement, although it's problematic, I think that the procurement issues are really pervasive. It's whether it's IT or whether it's office supplies, it's still, they still have the same relative issues in terms of acquiring the supply, the goods or the services that they need. I'm not really at that stage right now where I'm experiencing any major obstacles, except for perhaps some of the legal things that have some of the litigation that's currently in place that has taken years to actually resolve. One, namely the Telecom procurement issue that's been kind of hanging around for the last 4 or 5 years. That is, I see as a major obstacle.
But it's very reassuring to hear you say that, because a lot of times when we have people that come before us, there's always this presentation that I can do more, but I can't do more without first having an investment, whereas you're already acknowledging the strengths and how the strengths can be worked upon to get us to a good place. And that's very reassuring and promising.
Yes,
and,
absolutely. When I go back to the existing human resource skill set, they're very, very dedicated. They're very, very skilled, but they also are very, very stressed, just because of a major shortage. When you look at the current composition, it's nowhere close to any other municipality, quote unquote. I did some research on just the population, for example, that needs to be. Oh, where am I going with this? When I take the population of Guam and compare it to another municipality that's supporting IT, the samples that I looked at have at least anywhere from 70 to 80 full-time employees that are supporting the whole comprehensive IT infrastructure, from GIS to security to law enforcement, all of those. Now, when I look back at the Government of Guam component, we're not anywhere close to that kind of manpower, if you will.
But as far as the users on Guam, would you say that most of our government employees are technologically literate, or is that another obstacle that you'll have to address?
Most are technologically literate, but I'd say a significant percentage probably have a few training issues in terms of just simple things as simple as security, dealing with passwords and that kind of thing. But in terms of being able to navigate, whether it's using a mouse or whether it's using text or keyboards, most people who have access have at least the basic skills that are in place.
Thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I didn't realize you've been in the office already a month?
Yes.
And with that month that you've been there, have you mapped out what you would like to do for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months? And would you like to share that with us, of what you would like to do and see done within the short term, and maybe if you have any long-term plans, if you'd share those with us too?
I haven't exactly mapped anything out specific, and I've had some major challenges coming on board. The the existing resources that were actually running the Office of Technology are still currently out on medical, so they've been actually gone for a while. I still have communication with them, but one of the reasons I'm holding back a little bit on a solid plan is I'm careful not to develop a plan in a vacuum, if you will. It's critical that I have the participation of the existing management and actually the existing culture that's in place so that we can actually pull the plan together. My preliminary assessment, again, as I said, is that from a technology standpoint, as far as the infrastructure is in place, they're moving in the right direction. I still have a few fires to put out, but I really don't have any specific answers to your question about the plan.
Thank you.
Senator Morrison? No, Senator Underwood, did you? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to congratulate you. I actually want to thank the Governor, Calvo, for the nomination, sending you down and having us to consider your appointment. We met several times, and I appreciate that because you approached the office coming in hand with Public Law 32-10, and I'm very appreciative of that. It was the first piece of legislation that I put before the 32nd Guam legislature, and I felt it was necessary, along with my colleagues, Vice Speaker Cruz also co-sponsored that legislation, and it was our goal to really ensure that we find the leadership to guide this office. It's been several years, but we're here today. You mentioned a little bit about some of the preliminary assessments you've made, and I know you've only been there about a month, and I know we eventually have been considering some ideas moving forward of how we would like to help execute some of those provisions in the public law. We also, in discussions in the 32nd Guam legislature, that we felt it was necessary. We were trying to see how we will budget this office with the resources needed. I know you see $3.6 million. That's for your operational budget. However, we always anticipated that we'll have the leadership in place to help guide the policymakers on what the needs and resources going forward. The budget calls around and comes out around February. You have about several months before you. I'm sure you have nothing specifics to share with us, but do you feel or do you have any considerations in mind at this time within this short period of time to help prepare policymakers so that we can adequately begin supporting this office? Again, it's been kind of like a guessing game of how we budget this office, but I know you've been there a month, and I just want to know if that's enough time for you to come back and provide us with a reasonable number to work with and help begin the plans.
Senator, I'm not sure if the question is, do I have a number, or are you? I'm sorry.
Right. I mean, of course, we know the organizational structure, the staff, of course, the staffing, the operations budget. We discussed it a little bit, and of course, we wanted to first go get through the confirmation hearing. Now that we're doing that, I'm just wondering if things will go accordingly. That by February or around the budget call, do you feel that's enough time to say what the Vice Speaker said, map out, and at least give us some guidance on what that budget or organizational structure should look like for the Office of Technology?
I believe that would be enough time. Yes, I do. I do have my own preliminary plans, but it's not something that I'm actually prepared to discuss at this this particular session, and it's not something that I can say that I've discussed with other stakeholders. It's actually just my own plan, so I'm careful not to really develop anything in a vacuum. But I do have the plan and the vision, and February is plenty of time for me to be ready to present and actually pull for your support, if you will.
I look forward to working with you. Congratulations. I want to thank the family and friends that provided testimony here, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Senator Muñoz.
Cijos Masi, Mr. Chair, for giving me the opportunity to just make a comment for Mr. Guåhan. Earlier, before the hearing, I had the opportunity to speak to your family here, coming here to support you, and I see that with family support, it makes things easier with your job. I'm not going to deny that when I was looking over your expertise, I said, wow, they sent down a really good candidate. And I look at your areas of expertise in your designing and developing and service and support for IT. I always tell my children that I am not computer illiterate. I'm just computer little bit. And every time I have a problem, whether it be my phone or my computer or my iPad, I just hear, here, do it. And, they give me that, oh, man, Grandma, not fair, like, you should be able to do this, and it's not easy. Your resume speaks for itself. The chair spoke about you stepping away from some of the organizations that you're involved in, and I mean the business aspect, and I really appreciate that. I think you know where the priorities needs to go, but I'm hoping that your work for God and the church doesn't stop, because I know that you know how to take care of both. With the family asking me if I would give you my support, I said yes. And willingly, I will make it a point to be at the public hearing. I want to thank them for taking the time to come to my office to ask me to consider that. And I said, yeah, I know that he's got an extensive background. I just didn't know the relationship was that close. And it's amazing how, everybody in Guam has family, whether if it's not by blood, it's through injection, and this is the case.
Thank you, Senator.
But the governor did send a good appointment down. I'm hoping that with your expertise, that this agency will continue to grow, and technology changes so rapidly that once we have one piece of smart technology given to us and we think we're up to date, something new comes around. And
absolutely.
I'm hoping that the government of Guam can truly engage and update themselves with the fast-moving, new innovative ideas that come as quickly as, these become still dated. But thank you for stepping up to the plate. Thank you for having your family come and support you in the efforts, because it's that important that they support you. And I will publicly say that I will give you my support, and I hope the chair will put you on the October session.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah.
Senator Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I apologize for being late. My meeting just went over. Mr. Guåhan, when I read your background, you certainly have the qualifications. But, the role that you're stepping into is really complex, right? It's really, really challenging. The only analogy I can compare it to is really that of the body. Information is like the bloodline of our body. It's the blood. It goes from one organ to the next. And you're kind of like the cardiologist. You have to make sure that heart keeps pumping so that the information goes to all the respective parts of the government. And it's clear, you have the technology, and you have the expertise. And I think the challenge here is that we have so many different parts, and they all have their own systems in place. You have
Yes.
Department of Education, they have their own information system. You know how large that is. UOG is trying to do their own thing of having the whole system, their whole campus being wireless, and so on and so forth. So, you know, you have the expertise, and I think the challenge here is being able to coordinate and at the same time get the support from those different entities that already exist, right? So I just, I don't really have a question, but I just thank you for stepping up because this is just as complex as our human body. That information has to be very clear, has to be correct, has to keep flowing, and to all the different parts, and that's a big, big responsibility, and especially at a time when you know we're now looking to you because we know that you have the background and to really make this work. So I just want to wish you luck, and thank you again for your service and your willingness to step up.
Thank you, Senator. You have my commitment.
Thank you, Senator Underwood. I think that's a healthy segue into us wrapping this up, but just a couple items, Frank, that as you prepare your plans, I just wanted you to consider. We spoke about this earlier, but I just wanted to put it back on the record. One of the things I've observed is that we do need a uniform electronic communications protocol in the government so that a document or a piece of information that's coming from DOE to another agency can be accepted without them having to say that it needs to be transmitted physically in order to protect it somehow.
Yes.
So we need a uniform electronic communications protocol. We need a data backup protocol. We cannot run the risk of losing data like we have in instances past. So I hope that you can really help us to develop that quickly and help us to understand what the necessary infrastructure requirements will be for us to support it adequately. And lastly, and for me most importantly, I think is we need a unified financial management system. Right now we have AS400, Pfizer, SunGuard, Munis, and DOE. We have all these different kinds of very good financial management tools being used by different agencies. The problem is that they don't really talk together. And when they go up to BBMR, everyone just converts everything to spreadsheets, deconstructs it, reconstructs it, and then we have to come back and analyze it all from a more basic level. And it really becomes challenging for us here in this body because you know, one of the things we've been asking BBMR, for example, is what's your formula for projecting the budget? And we don't really get a solid answer on that. If we are able to have all of our financial management tools unified, talking to each other, so that if the auditor wants to look at it, if we want to look at it, if BBMR wants to look at it, you know, it's all going to speak the same language. It's not going to be speaking 4 or 5 different technological languages. We'll be able to get a better handle on where we are financially at any snapshot in time.
Yes.
So if you can help us to develop, at least in those 3 areas, I would very much appreciate it.
Sure.
But I do appreciate also your approach of wanting to build consensus first before coming in there and saying, this is what I want to do. Instead, you're coming in there saying, what's the situation? How can we go about addressing it? By the way, this is what my experience has to offer as a solution. I think that that's a very healthy way to build consensus and a positive working environment in an office that is really new and has so many different moving parts throughout so many different agencies in the government. So I think from the onset, you have a very good approach that's going to be very healthy for the office. Again, with your background, I think that you're going to be able to make incredible contributions to something that is just getting off the ground. And I'm very excited to see what's in store for the island and the people of Guam with you at the helm of the Office of Technology. So we will be having your nomination move forward and be prepared by the October session. I believe it's the 19th, the week of the 19th this month. And you will be on the agenda for confirmation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lujan. And if that concludes us for today, then thank you everyone for attending our hearing for Mr. Lujan's nomination. We'll go ahead and adjourn this hearing at 2:40 this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.